Taittiriya Upanishad Brahmanandavalli.
Harihi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmavida apnoti param tadeshabhyukta satyam jnanamanantam brahma yo vedanihitam guhayam parame vyoman so ushnute sarvan kaman saha brahmana vipaschiteti tasmadva etasmadatmana akashasambhutah akashadvayu vayoragnihi Agnerapah adbhyah prithvi Shriya oshadhayah oshadhibhyo nam annat purushah sava esha purusho narasamayah tasyedame vashirah ayam dakshinah Pakshaha ayamuttara pakshaha ayamatma idam puchham pratishtha tadapyesha shloko bhavati.
Hari Om. Together may He protect us. Together may He possess us. Together may we make unto us strength and virility. May our study be full to us of light and power. May we never hate. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Om. The knower of Brahman attains the highest. For this is the verse that was declared of old. Brahman is truth, Brahman is knowledge, Brahman is the infinite. He finds Him hidden in the cavern heart of being. In the highest heaven of His creatures, lo, He enjoys all desire, and He abides with the eternal, ever with that cognizant and understanding spirit. This is the self, the spirit, and from the spirit ether was born, and from the ether air, and from the air fire, and from the fire the waters, and from the waters earth, and from the earth herbs and plants, and from the herbs and plants food, and from food man was born. Verily man, this human being, is made of the essential substance of food. And this that we see is the head of him, and this is his right side, and this is his left. And this is his spirit and the self of him, and this is his lower member, whereon he rests abidingly, whereof this is the scripture.
Om annadvai praja prajayante yah kascha prithvi gshritah atho anne naiva jivanti athai nadapyantyam tatah annaghi bhutanai ज्येष्ठं तस्मात् सर्वौषधमुच्यते सर्वं वैतेन्नमाप्नुवन्ति येन्नं ब्रह्मोपासते अन्नं हि भूतानां ज्येष्ठं तस्मात् सर्वौषधमुच्यते अन्नाद् भूतानि जायन्ते जातान्यन्नेन वर्धन्ते अद्यतेति च भूतानि तस्मादन्नं तदुच्यत इति तस्माद्वा एतस्मादन्नरसमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मा अप्राणमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविदताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य प्राण एव शिरः व्यानो दक्षिणः पक्षः अपान उत्तरः पक्षः आकाश आत्मा पृथिवी पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति।
Om. Verily, all sorts and races of creatures that have their refuge upon earth are begotten from food. Thereafter they live also by food, and it is to food again that they return at the end and last. For food is the eldest of created things, and therefore they name it the green stuff of the universe. Verily, they who worship the eternal as food attain the mastery of food to the uttermost. For food is the eldest of created things, and therefore they name it the green stuff of the universe. From food all creatures are born, and being born they grow by food. Lo, it is eaten, and it eats. Yea, it devours the creatures that feed upon it. Therefore it is called food from the eating. Now there is a second and inner self, which is other than this, that is of the substance of food. And it is made of the vital stuff called prana. And the self of prana fills the self of food. Now the self of prana is made in the image of a man, according as is the human image of the other, so is it in the image of the man. The main breath is the head of him. The breath pervaser is his right side, and the lower breath is his left side. Ether is his spirit, which is the self of him. Earth is his lower member, whereon he rests abidingly. Whereof this is the scripture.
Om pranam deva anuprananti manushya pashavascha ye prano hi bhutanam ayuh tasmaat sarvayushamuchyate sarvameva ayuryanti ye pranam brahmopasate prano hi bhutanam ayuh tasmat sarvayushamuchyata iti tasyaisha eva sharira atma yah purvasya तस्माद्वा एतस्मात् प्राणमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मा यः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविधताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य यजुरेव शिरः ऋग्दक्षिणः पक्षः सामोत्तरः पक्षः आदेश आत्मा अथर्वाङ्गिरसः पुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति.
Om. The gods live and breathe under the dominion of prana, and men and all these that are beasts. For prana is the life of created things, and therefore they name it the life stuff of the all. Verily, they who worship the eternal as prana reach life to the uttermost. For prana is the life of created things, and therefore they name it the life stuff of the all. And this self of prana is the soul in the body of the former one, which was of food. Now there is yet a second and inner self, which is other than this that is of prana, and it is made of mind. And the self of mind fills the self of prana. Now the self of mind is made in the image of a man, according as is the human image of the other, so is it in the image of the man. Yajur is the head of him, and the Rig Veda is his right side, and the Samaveda is his left side. The commandment is his spirit, which is the self of him. Atarvanangiras is his lower member, whereon he rests abidingly. Whereof this is the scripture.
Om yato vachu nivartante apyamanasasah anandam brahmano vidvan न बिभेति कदाचनेति तस्यैष एव शारीर आत्मा यः पूर्वस्य तस्माद्वा एतस्मान्मनोमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मा विज्ञानमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविधताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य श्रद्धैव शिरः ऋतं दक्षिणः पक्षः सत्यमुत्तरः पक्षः योग आत्मा महपुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति.
Om, the delight of the eternal, from which words turn away without attaining, and the mind also returns baffled. Who knows the delight of the eternal, he shall fear naught now or hereafter. And this self of mind is the soul in the body to the former one, which was of prana. Now there is yet a second and inner self, which is other than this, which is of mind, and it is made of knowledge. And the self of knowledge fills the self of mind. Now the knowledge self is made in the image of a man, according as is the human image of the other, so is it in the image of the man. Faith is the head of him. Law is his right side. Truth is his left side. Yoga is his spirit, which is the self of him. Mahas is his lower member, whereon he rests abidingly, whereof this is the scripture.
Om Vijnanai Yajnantanute Karmani Tanute Picha Vijnanam Devasarve Brahmajyeshtamupasate Vijnanam Brahmached तस्माच्चेन्न प्रमाद्यति शरीरे पाप्मनो हित्वा सर्वान् कामान् समश्नुत इति तस्यैष एव शारीर आत्मा यः पूर्वस्य तस्माद्वा एतस्माद्विज्ञानमयात् अन्योन्तर आत्मानन्दमयः तेनैष पूर्णः स वा एष पुरुषविद एव तस्य पुरुषविधताम् अन्वयं पुरुषविदः तस्य प्रियमेव शिरः मोदो दक्षिणः पक्षः प्रमोद उत्तरः पक्षः आनन्द आत्मा ब्रह्मपुच्छं प्रतिष्ठा तदप्येष श्लोको भवति.
Om. Knowledge spreads the feast of sacrifice, and knowledge spreads also the feast of works. All the gods offer adoration to him as the Brahman and the elder of the universe. For if one worship Brahman as the knowledge, and if one swerve not from it, neither falter, then he casts sin from him in this body and tastes all desire. And this self of knowledge is the soul in the body to the former one which was of mind. Now there is yet a second and inner self, which is other than this, which is of knowledge, and it is fashioned out of bliss. And the self of bliss fills the self of knowledge. Now the bliss self is made in the image of a man, according as is the human image of the other, so is it made in the image of the man. Love is the head of him. Joy is his right side. Pleasure is his left side. Bliss is his spirit, which is the self of him. The eternal is his lower member, wherein he rests abidingly, whereof this is the scripture.
O asanneva sabhavati asadbrahmeti vedachet asti brahmeti ched veda santamenantato vidurriti tasyaisha eva sharira atma yah purvasya अथातोनु प्रश्नाः उता विद्वानमुल्लोकं प्रेत्य कश्चन गच्छति आहो विद्वानमुल्लोकं प्रेत्य कश्चित् समश्नुता सोकामयत बहुस्यां प्रजा येति सतपोतप्यत सतपस्तप्त्वा इदं सर्वमसृजत यदिदं किञ्च तत्सृष्ट्वा तदेवानुप्राविशत तदनुप्रविश्य सच्चत्यच्चाभवत् निरुक्तं च निरुक्तं च निलयनं च निलयनं च विज्ञानं च विज्ञानं च सत्यं च नृतं च सत्यमभवत् यदिदं किञ्च तत्सत्यमित्याचक्षते तदप्येष श्लोको भवति.
Om. One becomes as the unexisting if he knows the eternal as negation. But if one knows of the eternal that he is, then men know him for the saint and the one reality. And this self of bliss is the soul and the body to the former one which was of knowledge. And thereupon there arise these questions. When one who has not the knowledge passes over to that other world, does any such travel farther? Or when one who knows has passed over to the other world, does any such enjoy possession? The spirit desired of old, I would be manifold for the birth of peoples. Therefore he concentrated all himself in thought, and by the force of his brooding he created all this universe, yea, all whatsoever exists. Now when he had brought it forth, he entered into that he had created. He entering in became the is here and the may be there. He became that which is defined and that which has no feature. He became this housed thing and that houseless. He became knowledge and he became ignorance. He became truth and he became falsehood. Yea, he became all truth, even whatsoever here exists. Therefore they say of him that he is truth, whereof this is the scripture.
O asadva idamagra asit tato vai sadajayata tadatmanag swayam kuruta tasmat tatsukritamujyata iti yadvai tatsukritam raso vai saha रसग्ह्येवायं लब्ध्वानन्दी भवति को ह्येवान्यात्कः प्राण्यात् यदेष आकाश आनन्दो न स्यात् एष ह्येवानन्दयाति यदा ह्येवैष एतस्मिन् दृश्येनात्म्ये निरुक्ते निलयने भयं प्रतिष्ठां विन्दते अथ सोऽभयं गतो भवति यदा ह्येवैष एतस्मिन्नुदरमन्तरं कुरुते अथ तस्य भयं भवति तत्त्वेव भयं विदुषो मन्वानस्य तदप्येष श्लोको भवति.
Oh, in the beginning, all this universe was non-existent and unmanifest. from which this manifest existence was born. Itself created itself. None other created it. Therefore they say of it, the well and beautifully made. Lo, this that is well and beautifully made, verily it is no other than the delight behind existence. When he has got him this delight, then it is that this creation becomes a thing of bliss. For who could labor to draw in the breath, or who could have strength to breathe it out, if there were not that bliss in the heaven of his heart, the ether within his being? It is he that is the fountain of bliss. For when the spirit that is within us finds the invisible, bodiless, undefinable, and unhoused eternal his refuge and firm foundation, then he has passed beyond the reach of fear. But when the spirit that is within us makes for himself even a little difference in the eternal, then he has fear. Yea, the eternal himself becomes a terror to such a knower who thinks not. Whereof this is the scripture.
Om Bhishasmadvatah pavate Bhishodeti Suryah Bhishasmadagnischendrascha Mrityurdhavati Panchama iti Saishanandasya Mimagumsa bhavati Yuvasyat sadhu yuvadhyayakah Ashishto dridhishto balishthah Tasyeyam prithvi sarva vittasya purna syat Sa eko manusha anandah Te ye shatam manusha anandah Sa eko manushya gandharvanamanandah Shrotriyasya chakamahatasya Te ye shatam manushya gandharvanamanandah Sa eko deva gandharvanamanandah Shrotriyasya chakamahatasya Te ye shatam deva gandharvanamanandah Sa ekah pitrunāṃ chiralokalokānāmanandah Shrotriyasya chakamahatasya Te ye shatam pitrunāṃ chiralokalokānāmanandah Sa eka ajanajanam devanamanandah Shrotriyasya chakamahatasya Te ye shatamajanajanam devanamanandah Sa ekah karma devanam devanamanandah Ye karmana devanapriyanti Shrotriyasya chakamahatasya Te ye shatam karma devanam devanamanandah Sa eko devanamanandah Shrotriyasya chakamahatasya Te ye shatam devanamanandah एक इन्द्रस्यानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतमिन्द्रस्यानन्दाः स एको बृहस्पतेरानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं बृहस्पतेरानन्दाः स एकः प्रजापतेरानन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य ते ये शतं प्रजापतेरानन्दाः स एको ब्रह्मण आनन्दः श्रोत्रियस्य चाकामः तस्य स यश्चायं पुरुषे यश्चासावादित्ये स एकः स य एवं वित् अस्माल्लोकात् प्रीत्य एतमन्नमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं प्राणमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं मनोमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतं विज्ञानमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति एतमानन्दमयमात्मानमुपसङ्क्रामति तदप्येष श्लोको भवति.
Oh, through the fear of him the wind blows, through the fear of him the sun rises, through the fear of him Indra and Agni and death hasten in their courses. Behold this exposition of the bliss to which ye shall hearken. Let there be a young man, excellent and lovely in his youth, a great student. Let him have fair manners and a most firm heart and great strength of body. And let all this wide earth be full of wealth for his enjoying. That is the measure of bliss of one human being. Now 100 and 100-fold of the human measure of bliss is the one bliss of men that have become angels in heaven. And this is the bliss of the Veda-wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of angelic bliss is one bliss of gods that are angels in heaven. And this is the bliss of the Veda-wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of divine angelic bliss is one bliss of the Fathers, whose world of heaven is their world forever. And this is the bliss of the Veda-wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of bliss of the Fathers, whose worlds are forever, is one bliss of the gods who are born as gods in heaven. And this is the bliss of the Veda-wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of bliss of the firstborn in heaven is one bliss of the gods of work, who are gods, for by their strength of their deeds they depart and are gods in heaven. And this is the bliss of the Veda-wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of bliss of the gods of work is one bliss of the great gods, who are gods forever. And this is the bliss of the Veda wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of divine bliss is one bliss of Indra, the king in heaven. And this is the bliss of the Veda wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of Indra's bliss is one bliss of Brihaspati, who taught the gods in heaven. And this is the bliss of the Veda wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of Brihaspati's bliss is one bliss of Prajapati, the Almighty Father. And this is the bliss of the Veda wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. 100 and 100-fold of this measure of Prajapati's bliss is one bliss of the eternal Spirit. And this is the bliss of the Veda wise, whose soul the blight of desire touches not. The Spirit who is here in a man, and the Spirit who is there in the Son. It is one Spirit, and there is no other. He who knows this, when he has gone away from this world, passes to this self which is of food. He passes to this self which is of prana. He passes to this self which is of mind. He passes to this self which is of knowledge. He passes to this self which is of bliss, whereof this is the scripture.
Om yato vacho nivartante aprapyamanasa saha anandam brahmano vidvan na bibheti kutascha neti etang hava vanatapati kimaham sadhuna karavam kimaham papamakaravam saya evam vidvani te atmanag sprunute ubhe ye vaisha ete atmanag sprunute ya evam veda ityupanishad. Om sahana vavatu sahanau hunattu saha viryankaravavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om shanti shanti shanti.
Om, the bliss of the eternal, from which words turn back without attaining, and mind also returns baffled. Who knows the bliss of the eternal, he fears not for aught in this world or elsewhere. Verily, to him comes not remorse and her torment, saying, why have I left undone the good, and why have I done that which was evil? For he knows the eternal, knows these, and delivers from them his Spirit. Yea, he knows both evil and good for what they are, and delivers his Spirit, who knows the eternal. And this is Upanishad, the secret of the Veda. Om, together may he protect us, together may he possess us, together may we make unto us strength and virility. May our reading be full of light and power. May we never hate. Om, peace. peace, peace. Brahmanandavalli, commentary by Sri Aurobindo. The Brahmanandavalli, being a rather profound exposition of the Upanishadic thought, it was felt necessary by Sri Aurobindo to comment on certain of the thoughts that appear in the Life Divine, 4th chapter, Reality Omnipresent. He comments on the concept of non-being and being, which appears in the 6th and 7th chapters of the Brahmanandavalli. In the beginning all this was the non-being. It was thence that being was born. So begins the 7th chapter of the Brahmanandavalli. But Sri Aurobindo explains, non-being is only a word. When we examine the fact it represents, we can no longer be sure that absolute non-existence has any better chance than the infinite self of being more than an ideative formation of the mind. We really mean by this nothing something beyond the last term to which we can reduce our purest conception and our most abstract or subtle experience of actual being as we know or conceive it while in this universe. This nothing, then, is merely a something beyond positive conception. We erect a fiction of nothingness in order to overpass, by the method of total exclusion, all that we can know and consciously are. Actually, when we examine closely the nihil of certain philosophies, we begin to perceive that it is a zero which is all, or an indefinable infinite which appears to the mind a blank, because mind grasps only finite constructions, but is in fact the only true existence. Therefore the Upanishad can say in the 6th chapter of the Brahmanandavalli, if one knows him as Brahman, the non-being, he becomes merely the non-existent. If one knows that Brahman is, then is he known as the real in existence.